Hi, I hope everyone is doing well. Today's story is going to be horror, so put your earbuds in, close your eyes, and feel the story. So let's start story. When I was 14, my dad passed away, but don't feel sad, he was actually a prankster. When he was alive, he loved to sneak up on people and scare the daylights out of them. One of the ways he'd do that was to silently creep up and to stand at the edge of your vision until you realized someone was there. After he passed away, I'd be sitting in the living room watching TV, and I would see him glide up into the corner of my vision across the room and stand and stare at me from the front entryway. I look over and nothing there. Now this could be written off as me being tired, mind playing tricks on me, etc. But that wasn't all. Dad loved to watch history and nature shows. Back then, the History, Discovery, and A&E channels actually played decent documentaries and biographies. He was an insomniac, so he'd always be up late with one of these channels on, and the walls were incredibly thin. I'd always have to beg him to turn the sound down so I could sleep. After he died, for a few months, at least once a week, I'd be in bed and suddenly hear the TV in the living room. It would be a documentary on ants or a biography of Churchill and other things. It spooked me, definitely. My brother wasn't doing it. He's deaf, and if he watched TV, it was muted. My mom worked nights, and it always happened when she wasn't home. My sister had been living on her own for quite some time. I'd get up to see what happened. Maybe the cat had turned the TV on, but nope. Max the tuxedo cat was usually with me in bed or outside. I'd hear the TV droning on as I walked down the hallway, through the kitchen and dining room to the front entryway, and once I'd get to the spot where I could see the living room and the TV, all noise would cease. Dead silent. But wait, there's more. After he passed, the locked, chained and deadbolt front door would open all on its own to let the cat in. This happened in front of everyone at different points over the winter after dear old Dad had passed. But the thing that really got me is this event I'm about to tell you about. I was down in the basement one night, watching TV. My mom was home and in the living room. Whenever she needed me, she'd stomp on the floor to get my attention. And that night, she stomped like crazy. I raced upstairs. She's sitting in a chair with a wooden TV tray table in front of her. On the table was a styrofoam cup, and it was shaking violently. There were no open windows. There were no fans. I picked up that cup and checked for wires and strings. Absolutely nothing was attached to it. I put it back on the table, and it would shake again. Mom, of course, was saying it had to be Dad doing it, and nothing else. The creeping visions, the cat coming in through a bolted and chained front door, and the documentaries about ants being heard at all hours of the night freaked me out as much as that cup freaked me out. I knew my mom wasn't doing it. The table was perfectly flat on the floor, didn't wobble. There wasn't a way to make that cup move, and not the table itself. It just thoroughly spooked me. And Mom kept saying it had to be Dad. He was a trickster, yada yada. So I just shouted out, "If that's you, Dad, knock it off," and it stopped. I didn't even finish saying it when the cup stopped shaking. After the cup incident, the cat had to wait for a real live human to open the door. I heard no more documentaries in the middle of the night, and I didn't ever see Dad creep up in the corner of my vision to stare at me. Let's start second story. This happened about 8 years ago around Thanksgiving at my grandma's house. Everyone was asleep except for me. The only people in the house were my grandparents, my mom, my brother, and me. No one else. I was on the computer because I couldn't sleep. I turned on a small TV to watch Adult Swim while I browsed the internet. At around 4:30, I started getting a chill up my spine, and I heard children laughing, distinctly the voices of a little girl and a little boy. I knew I was the only one awake, so I turned to look at the TV. It was in the middle of an Inuyasha fight sequence, so there was no way the laughter was coming from that. I checked the computer sound settings, and every possible output was muted, so it wasn't that either. I sat there confused for a few moments while the giggles of the two children kept playing in the background. I figured maybe the radio in the kitchen was on. It was digital, so maybe it just came on for some reason or had a timer. I got up, and as I was walking to the door, with each step, the laughter grew louder, from giggling to full-blown laughter. Then I started to hear a baby crying as well. My mind raced. What kind of radio show is this? I had only taken 3 steps, nowhere near the door. I took a few more steps, and the laughter turned hysterical, almost maniacal. The baby's cries turned to screams and wails, as if it were in pain. I was trembling and terrified with each step I took to the doorway, but my mind was on autopilot. I needed to get out of there and across the hall to my mom, who surely would notice the weird sounds too. The last couple of steps increased the laughter and crying to an almost deafening level. It was like standing at a concert with the speakers directly in my ears, blasting noise. It was painful and terrifying. I took all the courage I had, and as soon as I reached the doorway, I was going to sprint. I started to run, but then something shoved me. I felt hands on my chest push me back into the room with enough force to throw me off balance. The crying and laughter stopped as soon as I was back in the room. This all happened within 20 or 30 seconds, but it felt like 10 minutes. I was so scared I cried and ended up sleeping in the tiny armchair until my grandma came in the room and made me sleep in her bed downstairs. Well, if you liked the video, make sure to like and share it, and don't forget to subscribe. It will give me motivation. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video. Until then, bye, take care.